from Atletico Ottawa.
Welcome to the biggest game in Canadian club soccer. In our nation's capital, Ottawa, Ontario, the 2022 Canadian Premier League champion will be crowned. It's the two top sides from the season. A new Battle of Ontario as well. Its regular season winner, Atletico Ottawa, hosting two-time champions Forge FC from the great city of Hamilton, Ontario. The winner goes on to claim the North Star Shield, standing as the best above the rest. Welcome pitchside here in Ottawa, inside TD Place. It's a pleasure to be with you as always. Gareth Wheeler alongside Jordan Wilson and Oliver Platt. Believe it, the sign over my left shoulder has nothing to do with this man right here.
They spelled it wrong anyway for me. I guess it must be for Bassett.
It is a warm welcome. They're rolling out the red carpet. When Jordan Wilson comes as a player with York United, a much different greeting
Absolutely.
you receive here with the great fans of Ottawa. Look, the stage is picture perfect, 15 degrees Celsius. An expected crowd could be over 15,000 for today's championship final. A battle between two sides with contrasting styles, the way they play. The stakes incredibly high, Jordan.
Super high. You could say two teams that deserve to be here. They've both been consistent throughout the year. If you told me 10 years ago we'd have an environment or a match like this, I would say erroneous. No chance. Right? So my heart is so full tonight to be in an atmosphere like this. 15,000 for a Canadian final in domestic league. Can't ask for much more, Ali.
Yeah, that's just it, right? We've been here for a couple of days now and just experiencing what's been built and rebuilt here, because we know that, this isn't the first professional team in Ottawa, but it's really special. And I know that, this is a country where, particularly at a time like right now, we have some frustrations in Canadian soccer. We have some pushing and pulling. We all know what it's been like over the past few years and even further back as well. But when you get here and you feel like something like this, you just really appreciate and realize the progress we've made over the last few years. And to see these two clubs here is going to be an amazing night.
It's significant. There was real buzz in the city around their home side, not just Canadian soccer, but Atletico Ottawa as well. It's really their first full season in earnest, playing home games. The fans have rallied behind this team. 49 points. They finish as regular season champs, Ollie.
Yeah, and not only did they have that regular season success, but it felt like a team that was built for playoff success as well. And I think that's what we saw in the semi-final against Pacific. It's a counter-attacking team. It's a team that's incredibly solid at the back. They know how to win individual matches, right? And obviously we're able to do so over the longer term as well to win that regular season title. So of all the finals Forge have been in, this is the fourth one. I think this is as stiff a test as they've ever had to win the North Star Shield.
Well, and Forge have been the proverbial table toppers in the Canadian Premier League really since its inception. This is their fourth straight final they're playing in. One significant difference, though, they will be playing without their captain today, Kyle Becker, the 32-year-old former Canadian international, suspended for today's match. Such a significant loss, Jordan. You play against him in the midfield. We'll get into how they're going to try to fill those boots, but what does that mean, not having Becker today?
He's the guy that makes the team tick. Even some of his movement when you're playing against him, he's moving away to free up other players. Noah Jensen coming in tonight. It's a tall order to ask to fill his shoes, but I feel like those three collectively have to go and fill Becker's role. Because what he does for the team, he's instrumental. So the three tonight really have to pick it up.
Yeah, I honestly think this game is a coin flip, but if there's one deciding factor or one thing that tips the balance, I think it is the absence of Kyle Becker. That's such a massive loss for Forge. And they are, I think, the deepest squad in the league when you look at the squad depth, the ability to replace pretty much anyone. I don't think they have another Kyle Becker. Jensen is the heir, right? He's a young player who's very similar in style. I think he's going to be very good one day. What a massive occasion this is going to be for him. But they don't have another proven player like Kyle Becker because, quite frankly, they've never needed one. He never comes off the pitch, right? He's always fit, he's always available. But now suspension takes him out of the final, and it's going to be a massive deciding factor, I think, in this game.
Still plenty of star power, especially in those midfield areas. Atletico Ottawa central midfielder Ollie Bassett went on to win not only the Player of the Year, but also the Players' Player of the Year, and he just caught up with our very own Christian Jack.
Thank you. With Ollie Bassett, it's been quite the week for you. Player of the Year, and now you get to play in the biggest game of your career. How are you feeling?
Yeah, feeling good, I think more excited than nervous. I think at the start of the season we had a goal to make the playoffs. And I think some would say that, we've maybe overachieved with what we've done this season, but I think we're here now, and everyone's ready. We've prepared well this week, and yeah, we're looking forward to it.
You say you're looking forward to it. It's going to be an enormous crowd as well. How big is that going to be for you to play in the biggest crowd that you've played here in Ottawa?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be a good night, not just for us, but for the city of Ottawa as well. I think the fans have done an amazing job this season of kind of growing and building the culture, game by game. So yeah, I think they should take full credit for that, and it's something that they should be proud of. I think us as players, that kind of gives you an extra bit of a lift and a push. So yeah, I think everyone's excited.
Last one for you, Ollie. You work under a very diligent and prepared manager. What are some of the things you're thinking about your opponent when you start today?
Yeah, obviously we know they're a good team. They've been to the final 4 years in a row, and you can't achieve that without being well coached and having good players. So yeah, we played them 4 times already this season. So they know what we're about, and we kind of know what they're about too. So I think it's for us just concentrating on what we can control and the stuff that we've done that has brought us success over the last 7-8 months. So yeah, we'll focus on ourselves as much as we can, and hopefully it's enough come the final whistle.
We appreciate your time. Good luck. Enjoy today.
KJ, thank you very much. Thank you.
And if you've been watching the Canadian Premier League all season long, we all know what Atletico Ottawa is about. They're committed, they're a pain to play against. And one change for head coach Carlos Gonzalez ahead of this game. The goal scorer from the 1-1 draw with Pacific, which was good enough to see them advance to this final, he comes in for Brian Wright. They are a very difficult team to play against, but they do have those standout players. Ollie Bassett, what a season he has had, Oliver Platts.
Yeah, and he's come from Pacific last season, where obviously he didn't play an insignificant role, but he wasn't really in their best 11, and he ended up not playing a single minute in the playoffs as Pacific won the title, obviously, last season. Now he's not just the player of the year, but the players' player of the year as well. Me and Jordan and the media and the players finally agreed on something and both voted for him for player of the year. So an incredible transformation in terms of his role in the team. I think he is. We just talked about the importance of Kyle Becker to Forge. He's their version of it, I think. I don't think he gets as many touches or as much influence because of the way Ottawa play, but he is the guy who has the ability to make the difference, in terms of a pass, a goal, a set piece, all of those different things. He's got an immense amount of technical quality.
I agree, Ollie. And also to add, he is the guy that controls the temperature of the game. Right? When they go forward, when they slow it down, if you really take in the game, it's Ollie Bassett running it for Atletico Ottawa. So today it's even an important thing for him to make sure that you're taking hold of the game and you're not allowing Force to just attack the whole time. You don't have to counter every time you get the ball, but he needs to possess it, and maybe he's a silent leader, but maybe today it might need to be vocal and basically take hold of every 11 that's out there.
His work on the ball, fantastic. His work off the ball, just as good. You mentioned counter-attacking side. Well, the key player for them to play that way is Balou Tabla in transition. The former CF Montreal player has had a breakout campaign in the Canadian Premier League, really relaunching his career, and over the last few months the argument can be made he's been the best of the best.
He's the best player, the most talented player. Oftentimes you have the most talented player, you wonder if they're going to come in and prove their worth. 3 games in, the second game of the season, he proved his worth. I have to give my hats off and show love to him, because oftentimes when you have a talented player, they're not always consistent. He's played 29 games, he's given all that he's had to the squad, and you see his quality. For me, it's a no-brainer, best player in the league.
Yeah, I think he's on a short list of players that when he's on it and at his best, I don't think there's anything you can do. He's that good, right, in terms of being a difference maker, again, scoring and creating goals. And again, I have to give a lot of credit to Carlos Gonzalez, the Atletico Ottawa coach, for a transformation there, because Balou Tabla, came off an injury-hit season. People were asking questions about his commitment and attitude and whether he could, put it all together. The talent was never in doubt, but was he going to be professional enough and committed enough to make the most of that talent? And I think he'll look back wherever he goes on to next, and I'm sure he will go on to a higher level. He's going to look back at this year as the turning point where he really started moving in the right direction again in a career that was starting to hit the rocks a little bit.
Seeing him on Friday night, the thing that stood out to me the most, he's happy. He's comfortable. It just feels like he's at home, and there's no coincidence he's playing his best football yet. More on Atletico Ottawa in a few moments' time, but let's turn our attention to their opponent today, Forge FC. And Christian Jack caught up with, well, midfielder turned defender of the year in Alexander Ashnodi-Janssen.
Big week for you already, winning Defender of the Year. Alex, great to see you. What were the emotions this morning when you woke up to play another final?
It's been a long road here, so obviously it's a little bit more nerves than a normal game day, but we've been in this situation before, and we know what's required to win a final. We've been on both sides of it, so a lot of excitement.
Let's get into it. You said you've been here before. Obviously, it's your 4th final in 4 years. You played in all of them. You talk about what it takes. What are the things that it takes to win a final?
I think you can't be rattled of anything that happens in the game. If you go up, if you go down, we gotta stick to our game plan. And we've played. Well, if I speak for myself, I played over 100 games with this team. Right, this is another one, just adding to that bunch, and it's keeping it consistent and not making too big deal of it.
Last one for you. Obviously, Bobby knows this, he's played the scouting report with you. He knows what this team's like. What are the things that you think about today as you go on the pitch to make sure that you're relevant about with Ottawa?
I think our whole team, we just need to bring the energy like we've done these last two playoff games, and if we keep that energy, I have full trust in our team's ability to win games.
All the best. Enjoy it, Alex. Thanks for this.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Forge FC, 47 points, just 2 points fewer than Atletico Ottawa in the regular season. They advanced in the final by dispatching Cavalry last week. The one change, and it was a buzz all week, Howard Smirniotis replaced Becker in the side. Noah Jensen comes in, a like-for-like replacement, but a lot less games played. He's only had 6 starts on the season. He wasn't even in the squad for last week's game against Cavalry, and now thrust into a starting role. That's what stands out. So do the attacking players, Borges and Chouanier, respectively, 2 of the best players at their position in this league.
Yeah, 2 quality players. I think this, in particular, David Chouanier on this right-hand side for Forge, that's going to be a massive test for Atletico Ottawa today. Maxime Tissot playing left back, I think, is going to have his hands full. Sissoko will join the attacks down the right-hand side, Rama as well. And then you got this man, Tristan Borges, on the left. Just someone with immense creativity and technical quality. The big question for him is he has such a strong relationship with Kyle Becker. They really work off each other and understand each other really well. How will Becker's absence affect Tristan Borges, I think, is a question in this game.
In terms of their overall build and how do they replace a Kyle Becker? I mean, it's a big task and big shoes to fill for Noah Jensen, but the way that the teams actually plays, a lot of it runs through Kyle Becker and is determined by him setting the tone. So what does that mean, or what do they miss by Becker not being in the team today?
They miss someone to rely on, and a lot of movement, I said earlier, is Becker moves away from the ball or gets it to free up other guys. We got to find Jensen. He might not do the same thing that Becker does, but he has to be effective in some way, whether that be breaking the lines, running deep, splitting the center backs, coming to get it. He has to get on the ball. A coach told me when I was young, playing in the midfield is all about presence. You can't hide. You make a bad pass, go get on it again. That's what Noah Jensen needs to do today. Just keep it ticking, keep it simple, and have a good game. Enjoy the final.
And against a team that's going to put a lot of numbers, significant numbers, behind the ball. Maybe you could break it down for us, Ollie.
Yeah, well, we've got some clips here just to show you the kind of influence that I think Kyle Becker has, not just individually, but on the whole team. So the first clip here is just going to show you the basic shape, the way Forge build up. You got a line of 3 at the back there, and then 2 in the midfield that we'll highlight in a second here. And you see Kyle Becker on the left side of that too with the jab report. Those are the 2 players they go through, right, when they're building from the back and trying to get the play going, and it affects everything that's then in front of them. So you see, for example, here, how it affects Tristan Borges. So Elliot Simmons, the cavalry midfielder, he's going to get drawn to Becker initially. You don't want to let Becker get the ball in those areas and start running the game. But then look who comes into the space behind him is Tristan Borges just over his shoulder. So now he has to choose, right? And that's that Becker-Borges understanding that they have, where they force an opponent to make a tough decision. In the end, they get the ball through to Becker there and end up creating a really good chance with the ball from Borges as a result of that. Now this one, you see the opposite happens here. Simmons is going to come to Becker, come short here as Ashniote Youngson brings it out, and then that creates the space to pass through to Tristan Borges instead, because he hasn't been able to pick both of them up at the same time, obviously. And so Borges is in space. So what Cavalry did last weekend in this game was they made an adjustment in the first half to try and deal with Becker and Borges. So you'll see it in a second here. The ball comes to the left-hand side again. So now you've got Simmons in a deeper role, sticking to Tristan Borges, and you've got Jody Chiara's come over to the right to help with Becker. We're not going to let you play through those 2 players because they're so important to you and how you play. But what you then get as a result of that is Forge saying, okay, we'll go to the right side then. And suddenly there's a lot of space on the right-hand side because so much attention is focused on Becker and Borges. They end up having to bring players over to help. David Chouanier still manages to find a way out here. We see the quality of him. And now because the players have gone over to the right-hand side, the Forge right to help, Now Kyle Becker's in a ton of space for a really quality scoring opportunity. He would have wanted to hit the target with that one. So you just see how much oxygen that Becker takes up in terms of the opponent's game planning for him and trying to find where he is and shut him down. Creates so much space for others as well.
Might not be Noah Jensen. Sissoko will be relied upon today. Yeah. Jabrapor, a big task at hand for the Forge midfield. By the way, Noah Jensen, 25 career professional games. Kyle Becker, 257. Massive difference in terms of experience. Look, this incredible month for Canadian soccer, it just continues right here on One Soccer. The World Cup, heard about it? FIFA World Cup is coming up. I think everyone's talking about it. Their final 2 tune-ups. Bahrain, November 11th. And then Japan, the final tune-up on November 17th. All here on One Soccer. The hometown side is on the field for warm-ups as they get set to take center stage at our nation's capital. It's Atletico Ottawa. It's Forge FC. It's a Canadian Premier League Championship final here on One Soccer.
Who's this game for? For those just making their start? Or those with a whole city on their back? For those who are always game? Or those who are pioneers? For those who are chasing glory? Or is it for all of us?
Volkswagen.
We created Carlsberg 00 because even the best things can be better. Where I go if we beer. Clean one-handed backhand is better. Balancing stuff is better. Whatever this is better. We created Carlsberg. Skipping your own ad is better. Parking in space, better. So, can the best alcohol-free beer make good things better? Probably.
Canada's soccer heartbeat is growing faster as FIFA World Cup Qatar rapidly approaches.
Are you kidding me?
Hope for Canada's men's national team has captured our imagination. And the conversation is turning to the biggest stage. Momentum for the world's most prestigious tournament is crucial, and Canada has one more friendly to prepare. One final test. It's Canada versus Japan, November 17th. One Soccer.
A new era for Canadian soccer begins today. Experience the emotion of every match. Watch all the highlights, the breaking news, the best debates, and analysis. And all the information about the Canadian stars playing abroad. Get access to the best of Canadian soccer from any device. Join the new dawn of an unstoppable game. See the rise on onesoccer.ca.
Atletico Ottawa finished last season with an abysmal record, winning just 6 times in 2021 and finishing at the very bottom of the CPL standings. Just 12 months later, coach Carlos Gonzalez led Ottawa to a league best record this season and are a game away from capping a worst to first turnaround. Can the regular season champions do the double and lift the North Star Shield? Oliver Platt had a chance to sit down with their head coach.
And there is the final whistle from the referee. And Atletico Ottawa have clinched their first ever Canadian Premier League final match.
I think that the team is in a great mood. You know, you can feel that there is a good atmosphere in the locker room. But at the same time, once they go to and they start to train, they are really concentrated, really focused on what we are doing and the importance of the game that we have on Sunday.
Top of the box shot to his left foot, strikes it, and it's a goal for
Well, try to isolate a little bit the players, you know, to make them think only in the things that we can control. That is the soccer part. Once the referee whistles, everything is going to be on our hands. So it's about this, controlling details, emotions, being smart. And also maintaining our identity. I think that if there is one reason, because the reason of why we are here today is because we have a clear identity and we have to continue doing the things that have worked. Forge, they are a team with a clear identity also. I think that they are going to maintain the way they play. They are going to try to be dominant. They are going to try to impose the experience and to impose their way of playing. And what we have to do is to try to control them. We know where are their strengths, and we have to control their strengths. And of course, about getting into the weakness, because they are also, although they are a really good team, they are also a team that have weakness. And in the last couple of months, they haven't performed, I think, that in the best version. So let's see how it goes.
Atletico Ottawa out wide.
You know, it's going to be a game of small games inside the game. I think that it's going to be a game in which, in some moments, of course, this is going to happen, that they're going to have probably more the ball, and we're going to wait for our moments to do the transitions. But there are going to be also other moments in which we're going to try to control them by the ball, and also they will have to defend in a lower block, because they are also a great team running. They are also a great team in transitions, not only us. So I'm sure that if they don't find a way to break us with the possession, they are going to try other ways to try to break us. Be us, you know, be loyal to our identity. Remember what has made us be here, and also enjoy, because I think that these type of games, you have to enjoy them. I think it's the only way that you can give your best version and that you can finally grab the result that you want. It's about enjoying and about doing what you've done.
Carlos Gonzalez, so impressive, just 36, the Canadian Premier League head coach of the season. He told me he has a trick up his sleeve for today's game. We'll see. Canada-Brazil women's soccer upcoming this month as well on One Soccer. They travel to Brazil to play the two-match series. Kickoff times to be determined. Stay tuned. Go to onesoccer.ca for full details. Forge, are they on the verge of winning their third North Star Shield? They're the presumptive favorites ahead of this one. Should they be the ones that are feeling the pressure? We'll get into that next as we count down to kickoff. It's the Canadian Premier League final right here on One Soccer.
Volkswagen, the official automotive partner of the Canadian Premier League.
When inspiration strikes, go after it in the German-engineered, redesigned 2022 Tiguan with standard 4Motion all-wheel drive and the available CarNet app that connects to your vehicle in over 20 ways. With the kick of a foot, Tiguan can keep up with family life, which comes in handy because kids change their minds a lot. When family happens fast, you'll be ready. That's how to Tiguan. Volkswagen.
That voice in our heads that urges you forward.
Bueno, dale, vamos.
Fuel it.
New Degree Advanced. First ever 72-hour nonstop protection with motion sense. Tested to the limit and proven.
Still feeling dry and fresh.
72-hour nonstop protection however much you move.
A new era for Canadian soccer begins today. Experience the emotion of every match. Watch all the highlights, the breaking news, the best debates, and analysis, and all the information about the Canadian stars playing abroad. Get access to the best of Canadian soccer from any device. Join the new dawn of an unstoppable game. See the rise on onesoccer.ca.
WestJet is a proud sponsor of the Canadian Premier League.
Welcome back inside TD Place, the site for the 2022 Canadian Premier League Finals. Beautiful weather. What's shocking, I haven't seen the fan without a shirt off yet. I mean, I saw it. Last year's final was played December 5th. There was rain, there was sleet, there was hail. No one has gone to that extent yet, but we're still in the early stages in the build-up to this one. Let's take a closer look at today's matchup. Atletico Ottawa, top of the table in the regular season. Although they're 7th out of 8 in possession, they're a team that's well organized, absolutely deadly on the counterattack. Forge first in possession. Above and beyond that, first in goal scored. They've conceded the fewest goals on the season. A dominant season in stretches for Forge FC. They stumbled here in the latter stages of the season. Perhaps a little bit of fatigue coming into play. Gareth Wheeler, Jordan Wilson, Oliver Platt with you. Two sides that I think we know what they're going to do. There's different variations to the way that Forge play, but they love to be on the ball. Ottawa, they love to dig in and defend. Jordan, what are a few areas that we can look at for Forge where they can maybe take advantage and expose maybe some of the weaknesses in this Atletico side?
Well, we talked about it last week, Wheels, and you got to get crosses into the box. If you look at this clip here, ball goes wide. Look how many Ottawa players are back. They have 7 players in the box, but look at the holes, right? If you cut that back or if you play that harder cross, look at the 3 in the back. Look at that area that we highlighted, right? It should be a goal. Hard and low, straight across, anything could happen, right? Conversely, on the other side here, still, they have their block set up, but watch, early cross, that little rectangle is probably the area that Nate Ingham can come out in. But look, both the defenders, ball watching, right? Make aggressive run in, you're getting a shot on target, you're getting a header, you're getting something. For me, this is where the goals need to be happening. Also, if you're switching the play, then there's going to be opportunities to play within the lines. So Forge just need to switch the play, get crosses in the box, and be aggressive in the box.
I think Jordan's spot on, but the interesting thing about this is that Forge aren't really a cross-heavy team, right? When they go wide, it's to create space in the middle to work it back inside. So that's going to be a really interesting dynamic in this game, and I do think if this game goes on and Forge haven't scored or they're chasing the game, do we see someone like Terran Campbell come off the bench who can create a matchup problem and they can get a bit more direct and put a few more crosses in the box potentially?
All right, on the other side of things, how can Atletico Ottawa take advantage of some of the flaws in this Forge side?
Counter, counter, counter. Choose when to go for it. Here you see a beautiful switch. Ashton Morgan has so much time. This is the left back, right? Playing it in. Boom. They have it. There's an opportunity. Watch this. A clearance, they break forward. Look at this. Pause it right here. Look at the 2 fullbacks. Morgan, Rama. Look how far they are. Look how high they are. Their resting defense for Forge is not there. It's null and void. Right here, if you square that ball across, that's 1-0 for Cavs, right? They attack so much and they leave gaps all over the place. That is the bread and butter of Atletico Ottawa. Look here, this next clip. Same thing. Look at the back 4. Boom, Rama nearly off the screen. Look how disconnected they are. Antione Janssen, look, he's almost looking like a right back. They play him behind. Look how stretched they are. Midfielders, they're trailing back. You get an early cross in. Good. 1-0 to Cavs. So for me, it's how attacking minded they are, and their resting defense is never really in set. If you can get a moment to break forward, boys, there could be goals there for Atletico Ottawa.
Yeah, those are the situations also are going to want to create, right? And like if you're a centre back and your fullback's gone forward and you have all this space outside you, who's the player in the league that you probably want least running at you? I think Balou Tablo would be fairly high up that list, I'd say, right? Like his individual skill and pace and one-on-one ability, if he gets in those kinds of situations that Jordan just highlighted there, Forge are going to have real problems.
Or even Shaw, sorry to say, Ollie, even Shaw, playing him in the channels, big boy, strong. I tease him and tell him that he has extra limbs because it just feels like elbows are flying. But no, he's a lot to handle. And you have Crutzen as well. What a player playing the ball forward, but how do you match up with the physicality of Shaw?
Look, these two sides know one another. This is the 5th time they've played this season. It's about executing their game plan. We know what to expect. It's about going out and getting the job done. Some mind games were being played in the press conference by both managers ahead of this one. Christian Jack will join us pitch side next to break it all down. Welcome to Ottawa. Welcome to the Canadian Premier League final. It's Atletico Ottawa and Forge here on One Soccer.
Allstate and its 900 agents proudly support Canadian soccer at every level. Visit allstate.ca.
Cross, hit it on, good save. Margot stopped by Pauli, rebounds, stopped again.
used to labels. Apologetic. Sweet. Pushovers.
1, 2, 3, red!
But screw labels. No more being polite. No more sugarcoating. Because we're label-less and limitless. Oat Canada, the official plant protein partner of Canada Soccer.
Come on! Come on! Come on!
Come on!
Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on!
Come on.
Come on! Come on! Play casino online at comeon.net.
Volkswagen, the official automotive partner of the Canadian Premier League.
Welcome back inside TD Place. The stadium starting to fill up. We're 30 minutes away from kickoff. Atletico Ottawa and Forge FC, who will be raising the North Star Shield. We'll do some match predictions. So Gareth Whelan, Jordan Wilson, Oliver Platt, I'll give them some time to stew on this and who they're going to predict to go on to win the Canadian Premier League this season. There's been some mind games that have been played between managers ahead of this one. Let's go pitch side now to welcome in our very own, my good friend Christian Jack. Hello, KJ. Looking good as always. What's the vibe down there first off? Then we'll get into the managers. How are things pitch side?
Yeah, it's a great atmosphere, no doubt. Obviously, the match just took place between the Atletico Ottawa fans. Carlos Gonzalez, a man, very relaxed out here. We haven't seen Bobby Smirniotis too much, but just hanging out down here and it's all getting ready to kick off at the moment. It's getting exciting.
KJ, sometimes ahead of big games, managers don't say much. Well, that wasn't the case ahead of this one, as both Carlos Gonzalez and Bobby Smirniotis weighed in on who's facing the most pressure and who should be considered the favorite ahead of this one. Have a listen.
I'm not considering the team favorite, not at all. I think that we have a great team. We are in options to win the final. I'm 100% thinking of that. But the reality is that we are playing against probably the best team of the CPL. Forge has played the last 4 finals. They've won 2. They've lost the last one. So I think there is only one favorite. They have the pressure to win. We have the desire to win. I think this is the difference.
I think pressure is. I'm going to say something that's maybe it's a little funny here, but we've got 2 North Star Shields back at home. I can go to sleep easy at night, and so can a lot of the players. So the pressure, there's nothing. Pressure is maybe playing in the Azteca. These are games that you come out and enjoy. This team's playing in their 4th final. We've played in a lot of big matches, so we're coming out here and to enjoy the game. They're the ones that are playing in front of a big crowd, which I hope it's what the numbers are looking like, and if they can be even larger, even better. But they're the ones that are going to have to come out and play some football and entertain all these fans that are coming out there, so that they can keep coming out.
I love it. Fantastic stuff. So KJ, Carlos Gonzalez, despite playing at home, winning the regular season, they're not favorites out of this game, and I'm very jealous of Bobby Smirniotis and his sleeping patterns. What do you make of that banter in the back and forth?
Well, first of all, let's talk about Bobby Smirniotis. I think that's the first thing that hits me is that, yes, it's mind games, but it's clear that I think he wants Ottawa to come out and play. You guys have broke it down brilliantly so far, that if he feels like Ottawa comes out and plays here and suddenly the Athletic crowd are putting pressure on them, then they're going to feel like it's their kind of game plan. It's their kind of profile. We know what Atletico Ottawa are about, right? They last in the league in final third entries into the box this season, 7th in the league out of 8 in possession. Why would that automatically change today? The only way it would is because of the hype of a final. Suddenly you get them to play something different. There's not a lot of experience in major finals with this Atletico Ottawa team. Does that mean they do something different? That's certainly, I think, what Bobby Smirniotis is hoping for. But I think they're the strongest team. I think they're rightfully favourites. And I do think that Carlos Gonzalez might be a little bit right, Gareth, instead of putting the pressure on them. After all, it's their 4th final in 4 years. They've got a lot more experience. And I think they've got better players as well.
Yet at the same time, Forge failed to win at home last year, and it's fine if you're making these finals. Their goal is to go on and win these, KJ. The expectation is that they go on to win this. And on the other side of the coin, that whole go out and entertain statement that Bobby Smirniotis made. He's trying to bait Carlos Gonzalez into it a little bit, isn't he?
He definitely is. Look, the Atletico Ottawa point is a fascinating one. If they start to do that today, does that mean that they will be coming out of their comfort zone? Look, there's a lot made about the way they play, and they've not played great at home. They stayed in a hotel here last night to have a bit of a thought of an away game mentality. They've won 2 out of the last 11 here, albeit only losing 1. They only scored 11 in the last 11 home games. We know how tense finals can be. But I think you're bang on as usual, Wheels, when it comes to Forge. This is the 4th final. You win 3 of them finals, that's a dynasty. You lose 2 of them, that's a big failure for a club like that. They are the standard bearer in this league. They've got Crutzen and Jonsson playing centre-back tonight. Last year, no disrespect, they had Metusala and Samuel playing centre-back after playing in the CONCACAF League 5 days earlier. So, they were spent. This is a different team tonight. It's built to win championships, and I think there'll be a massive disappointment if they don't get the job done here tonight from Hamilton.
KJ, you don't even know what pressure means. Always cool. No one better to be pitch side for a big game in Canadian soccer. Enjoy it, KJ. We'll catch up with you later.
Appreciate being part of the team, fellas. Thanks.
Christian Jack joining us pitch side at TD Place. So let's get into it, reset here, and take another look at Atletico Ottawa's starting 11. A side that are unbeaten in their last 11 games. The last time they lost a game at home, by the way, July 31st, a 4-0 thrashing at the hands of Forge FC. Ollie, what do you make of the one change that Gonzalez has made, Malcolm Shaw coming in for Brian Wright?
I think it's the right decision. I really do like Brian Wright as a player, and I think he's lethal around the penalty area, has a good scoring rate, but I think Shaw has a better all-round game for me. I think you can get the ball to stick to him a bit more and get yourself out if you need to relieve some pressure defensively, and he can score goals as well. So I actually like that change. I think it's the right call.
Also just playing on vibes. Play the guy who scores.
Yeah.
Right? Play the guy who saved the squad game, and got you in the final. Play the one who scores. Play the one who's hot.
A big night for Carl Haworth. He was formerly part of the Ottawa Fury side that was here. Maxim Tissot as well, playing the 2015 NASL Championship against the New York Cosmos. I just feel like this is a different specter when you're playing for a championship within your own country. The NASL meant something to the individual Canadian markets, but this is much bigger, and players like Haworth have been part of the footballing fabric of the city for quite some time.
Yeah, it's really special that they've been able to bring in some of those players. Drew Becky as well is on the bench today. What I'll also say about these players is that I think in the first 2 or 3 years of this league, it's felt like a young man's league. Like most of the best teams have been the ones who have collected the best young Canadians in their teams, and we've seen that with Forge as much as anyone. I think this season we've seen a bit more of the influence of a veteran presence of an experience come through, and particularly with Atletico Ottawa, with players like these. Sissoko as well at the base of midfield has played all over the place in Europe and has got tons of experience. So they're a really important part, I think, of this team's success.
If you ask me about culture and football, you need culture bearers.
Yeah.
Hey, we're nearly 200 professional matches for Ottawa clubs. But this is a guy who is bread and butter, Ottawa thick and thin. And you need these guys. You need these guys to build a team off of. There's no coincidence why the 2 teams playing right now in the finals are teams with experience. Yes, I know you need young players. Yes, we want to build the league that way. But experience. You need guys that know what it takes. You need guys who have put in the years. And that hopefully that comes to fruition today for them.
Ottawa were the oldest team in the Canadian Premier League this season, but like a fine wine, seemingly getting better with age. I was so impressed with Maxim Tissot as well in the press conference. What a great ambassador for Canadian soccer. He was part of this Forge side last year. In fact, he scored in the final inside the bubble in Charlottetown 2 seasons ago. His former side makes that one change. Jensen coming in for Kyle Becker. This is a side with so many familiar faces from that championship-winning team in year 1. Henry, Crutzen, Ashinyoti Janssen, Chouanier, Borges. I mean, there's championship pedigree in this team wherever you look, Ollie.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing about Forge, is we just talked about the experience of the Ottawa sides, but Forge have been able to keep a core group together so well that they're now building their own veteran players, right? You know, Crutzen, when he came into the league, was not an experienced player at all. You know, he'd come out of college. Same thing with Tristan Henry, who had played college, played for Sigma, obviously, under Bobby. Now these guys are the cornerstone of the team, and they're the veteran players. They've been here and done it before, obviously, many, many times. And I think that's particularly important when you don't have Kyle Becker in the team, who obviously leads the way as far as Forge are concerned in terms of experience.
Well, this is why Bobby Spiniotis sleeps well at night. I will say because he has trust in his players. When you're in the office, in the trenches, day in and day out, and you know your guys that you can depend on, you've won championships with them, you've come to finals with them, you know that you're going into an atmosphere where you can believe in them. They're like his sons, right? You're switching players in and they're coming in 10 different players a season. It's different. But right now he has that group and he's trying to harness it.
I gotta say though, Bobby is not sleeping comfortably with 2 titles. He wants another one and another one and another one after that. I'm not buying that for a second.
I will say this, he's making a big gamble starting Jensen in this game. I thought Ashton Janssen would slide forward, play in the midfield for this one. So there is a little bit of an element of risk here. What a sensational weekend, a wonderful night, picture perfect in the city of Ottawa. We're hoping that a similar beautiful display plays out on the field in a few moments' time.
Volkswagen, the official automotive partner of the Canadian Premier League.
When inspiration strikes, go after it in the German-engineered, redesigned 2022 Tiguan with standard 4Motion all-wheel drive and the available CarNet app that connects to your vehicle in over 20 ways. With a kick of a foot, Tiguan can keep up with family life, which comes in handy because kids change their minds a lot. When family happens fast, you'll be ready. That's how to Tiguan. Volkswagen.
That voice in our heads that urges you forward.
Bueno, dale, vamos.
Fuel it.
New Degree Advanced. First ever 72-hour nonstop protection with motion sense. Tested to the limit and proven.
Still feeling dry and fresh.
72-hour nonstop protection however much you move.
A new era for Canadian soccer begins today. Experience the emotion of every match. Watch all the highlights, the breaking news, the best debates, and analysis, and all the information about the Canadian stars playing abroad. Get access to the best of Canadian soccer from any device. Join the new dawn of an unstoppable game. See the rise on onesoccer.ca.
WestJet is a proud sponsor of the Canadian Premier League.
Forge FC has been the class of the league since 2019, winning back-to-back titles before reaching the Canadian Premier League final last season. Now the 4-time CPL finalists are back in the championship game, looking to cement their legacy as a true sporting dynasty. The Hamilton-based side has lost just one playoff match in its history and is a game away from once again claiming CPL supremacy. Their head coach, Bobby Spiniotis, caught up with Ollie.
It's cleared!
Something you don't realize as you're along the road, and maybe, you know, after last week's second leg of the semi-final, that's what you sit back and kind of look at, because as a coach you're saying, okay, here we go again, we're going to go play in another final. Yeah, but when you look at it, it's not the easiest thing to do, especially with a group of players. A lot of them, you know, there's about 12 of them that have been around here for 4 years, and making sure to keep them motivated and keep them hungry. Because I think that's the toughest thing to do in sport. It's to keep the guys going on the same page in all of this journey, and the journey has been fantastic, not only domestically but also internationally. You look at the squad this year, and it's missed, apart from 3 games or 4 games, a guy like Daniel Knudsen, who's so vital to the squad, and a lot of other players. So others have had to step in, and that's been the beauty of this year. You know, it's been the challenge for us. But the challenge that we obviously want is to bring up some of these younger guys or new players into the team and really bring them up to speed and keep on growing this team. And I think that's what makes it very special, you know, and that's the biggest thing I take away from playing in this final, is that we've been able to do this with a lot of internal adversity, with missing a lot of quality players, and turning over a squad subtly that's still able to be successful. It's always a tough thing because he's the one guy that in these occasions is always going to be prepared. Whether it's on the ball or off the ball, his mentality, his leadership. So it's a tough one for us to lose in this match. But that's why you build depth, and you build that in a way where you're able to make that change like for like, or to switch some players around in the field. That gives you the best opportunity to beat your opponent. And this year we've played them 4 times. All 4 times we've used a different tactical structure. And that's given us a lot to look back on in different situations, because all 4 games we've been a little bit different against them, and we see what works, and with different players. There's been games this year, I think, where Kyle also wasn't part of the game against Ottawa, so we've been able to see that as well. On the other side, my colleague has a pretty good identity and a way of playing, and I don't think maybe that changes so much for a player that's in the squad or out of the squad. For us, I think they're pretty even about how they do things, and we want to find a way to do that as well. Now, the things that change for us is which players go into certain zones of the pitch and play, and where we can find the space against them to really get in behind them and hopefully get the first goal in this match. I think they're all individually different. You look at the first year, and it's all about the slogan, forever first, right? You're there. Then you're in a different situation in PEI, in that tournament style bubble. And then, last year we're coming out of the pandemic, and here we are playing 40 games every 3 days as Forge. And so every year's been a little bit different. Every year has a different feel to it. Our team has been a little bit different. And I think that's the beauty of being able to play in this 4th final. We've done it each time in a different manner, with a little bit different team and a little bit of a different twist to what we do.
I'm so excited right now. My God!
Back again. Back again.
Oh, they are back again. Head-to-head on the season, 4 games played. It's been even. Like, the one standout is that 4-0 Forge FC victory right here at TD Place. The goalless draw the last time out, probably more indicative of the style of play and what we'll feature tonight. I also love Bobby's beard as it grows longer. So does the reputation of his side. Do you think you can compete with him, Jordan?
Absolutely not. I will say I like the little salt that he has in there.
Yes, salt and pepper.
Wisdom.
Wheeler, Wilson, Platt with you. So it's very difficult to game plan for Forge. They have so many different players that can beat you in so many different ways, but some of the setup and the tactical approach, all is led by Bobby Smirniotis. Why are they so difficult to game plan for?
Well, you were talking with KJ earlier about Bobby maybe trying to bait Carlos Gonzalez into being a bit more expansive and take more risks, and I think you're absolutely right, but I wonder as well if Forge might be a little bit less expansive than they normally are to avoid those counter-attacking situations that Ottawa like to get into. And one thing I found really interesting yesterday at the press conference was that Bobby specifically mentions the 2020 final against Halifax, when Halifax were a very counter-attacking team as well. And I think this Ottawa team is better, but maybe stylistically there's some similarities there. And you look back at that game, and Forge have played Halifax Wanderers 16 times in their history since the Canadian Premier League started. They've had more possession in those games 15 times. The only one was the 2020 final, where they changed their approach. They said, we're going to let you have the ball and try and break us down. And they didn't really know how to do it because they were built to be such a counter-attacking team. So I wonder if we could maybe see some, a different kind of approach from Forge than what we're normally used to, because it might be what makes Ottawa uncomfortable.
Do you think that could be the case? I mean, that would completely go against the script, but I wouldn't put anything past Bobby Smirniotis. His sides, they simply win. This is their 4th consecutive final. If we can compare that to other sports, 2015 to 2019, Golden State Warriors, shout out to Steph Curry, great Islanders team of the early 80s, Joe Torre, Derek Jeter and the Yankees, Marv Levy, Buffalo Bills. The only difference with the Bills is they never went on to win a Super Bowl. And then there's Smirniotis and Forge, 4 consecutive. It's wild to kind of put into perspective just how good this squad has been. This club, from the get-go, some like to refer to them as an evil empire. I'm not sure how you feel as an opponent going up against a stacked squad year in, year out.
They're a dynasty. It hurts me that they're the club next door, and they seem to get all the jewels and all the talent, but they have it figured out. They're the blueprint of how a team should be in the CPL. Get all the local talent, have players working on their system. You have Bobby, and his own respects as a guru. If you talk to Becker and older players on the squad, they'll say he's a philosopher, has new ways of how he wants to play, but he has a clear identity of who he is, and that is shown throughout his team.
Yeah, it's the most impressive part of the whole thing for me is the sustainability, the consistency. You know, more than any individual achievement, whether it's a CPL title, the runs they've been on in CONCACAF, reaching the Canadian Championship final as well. For me, the most impressive part is 4 consecutive finals. Like, how long do you think we're going to be sitting here before another coach does that in the CPL? I think it could be quite some time. What he's built here is pretty spectacular.
Would it be egotistical being born in the city of Hamilton to say champions are born and raised in Hamilton?
Certainly in the CPL.
Perhaps, but maybe this is a year where there is some vulnerability. Their last away win was July 31st in that 4-0 victory. They haven't won in 7 games away from home. Fans have traveled here. Fans are watching at the end zone in Hamilton as well. Stay with us as we count down to kickoff here on One Soccer.
Allstate and its 900 agents proudly support Canadian soccer at every level. Visit allstate.ca.
Cross, headed on, good save.
Margot stopped by Powley, rebound, stopped again.
We're used to labels. Apologetic. Sweet. Pushovers.
1, 2, 3, red!
But screw labels. No more being polite. No more sugarcoating. Because we're labelless and limitless. Oat Canada, the official plant protein partner of Canada Soccer.
Come on, come on, come on.
Come on.
Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on!
Come on.
Come on! Come on! Play casino online at comeon.net.
Volkswagen, the official automotive partner of the Canadian Premier League.
We are just about ready. The stage is set. Ottawa, Ontario. It's a Canadian Premier League final here in 2022. Atletico Ottawa. Can they go worst to first? Taking on Forge FC, the perennial contenders and the bar setters here in the Canadian Premier League. Wheeler, Wilson, Platt with you will be Adam Jenkins and Jimmy Brennan on the call. We're looking forward to that in a few moments' time. My good friend Jordan Wilson to my left, he wishes desperately he was playing today. His York United side just falling a little bit short this season of qualifying for the playoffs. But you played in big games before. You know what it's all about. Big crowd here today. You understand what's on the line and what's at stake. How are the players feeling at this moment?
They're in the locker room right now, probably getting the shin guards on, putting the tape on. Right, this is the last moment, the 5 minutes before you go out, and you're really relishing that moment with your brothers. You're nervous, but you have to flip that energy, right? You have to use that energy for good. Right now in big games, you have to focus on the things that you do well, right? Starting the game, you have to start well. You can't take 15 minutes to get into the game. You have to go and attack it right from the first whistle. For Atletico Ottawa today, we've heard it throughout the week. They have to stay consistent, but they have to suffer. They suffer all the time. You have to go out there and do that. For Forge, I know they want to be kings of the hill again, right? They want to go straight to the mountaintop, but they want to win. So for me, it's about controlling your emotions, but not letting your nerves get the best of you and be excited and go out and kill it.
That's such an important point, I think, is emotional control. Like we saw last weekend, Forge against Cavalry, that got out of control a little bit, and maybe in a costly way. We've seen it in previous playoff matchups. If you lose your head in those moments, someone provokes you a little bit, maybe, or something like that, or the occasion gets to you, that can really change a game, decide a game, I think, in these kinds of environments. And that's something you have to say that Atletico Ottawa are built very, very well for a team that struggled so much last season.
It's funny, Forge has been there, done that before. They played in CONCACAF League. They played in CONCACAF Champions League, difficult places. Ashton Morgan's gone on and won MLS Cups. Like, they have some players who understand what it takes to win. This Atletico Ottawa side, I kind of feel like they're going to be propelled by the atmosphere that's continued to build in this city. Their supporters, their fans, they're growing by the number, by the day. Just looking around us, speaking to people in the city, there's now expectation when it comes to this team. There's real belief in the project that's being built here. That could be inspirational in their own way.
There's no doubt about it, Wheels, that they have a 12th man tonight. Being here this weekend, seeing everyone, they are stoked and excited for this game, right? If you're a player and you're playing at home and this is the last game of the season, you have no reservations. You're putting everything on the line. To play at home, to win at home, this is all they need.
Okay, so let's focus in on some of the elements or even players that you're going to be keeping your eye on in this game. What are you going to be looking out for, Ollie?
The Forge right against the Ottawa left. That for me is the big matchup, the big area where whoever wins that battle, I think has a really good chance of winning the game. I think David Choinière is consistently influential in big games. He's scored some massive goals over the course of his Forge career. And particularly given how we illustrated earlier, Becker kind of dictates the left a bit more. That might take some time to get going for Forge. The right-hand side, I think, with Choinière, with Rama, Sissoko, are going to be a real handful for Maxime Tissot on the Ottawa left.
I think for me, Wheels, it's Tristan Borges. You're missing your boy Becker, who you've played with, who always looks for you. This is a day where you have to step up for your squad. Get on the ball, set pieces like you said. You have to have some quality today, right? You got to do it for your club, and he has to step up in a big way.
Yeah, and the expectation for a player like Borges is that he does show up, and he does perform, and he is ready to win it each and every time he steps on the field. That reputation from year one, it's followed him along. He hasn't been able to reach those heights that he set in year one. But man, what an opportunity today for Tristan Borges. He, I expect, will be on set piece duties as well.
Set pieces, yeah, and leadership, as Jordan alluded to. Like, he's got a young player in there in Noah Jensen, who, what a night for him in his career, right? Like we mentioned it earlier, he's a young player who's seen as maybe being the eventual successor to Kyle Becker. He's very similar in terms of style, but the level of experience is not even close, right? And he's a player who's kind of had a bit part role to grow into the team this season, to get that first pro year under his belt. And now, because of Becker's suspension, he's thrust into that final. Bobby Simoniotis is wanting to go like for like rather than changing things tactically. So huge burden on his shoulders as well.
Conversely, on the flip side, let's talk about Atletico Ottawa. For me, what lies in the success of winning and losing tonight is picking their moments. Yes, we know they counter. Yes, we know they're deadly. But you cannot do it all the time. And you cannot have Forge having the ball 90% of the time, right? Even if they just hold it and keep it, switch the play, right? There's moments, right, where they suck them in. That's what they need to do to be successful tonight. That's what they need to do to counterpunch and really take forward.
What I hope is that they both play brave. It's not about playing to not make a mistake. Who's going to be progressive? Who's going to bring it? We're going to see that in a few moments' time. All right, time to put our reputations on the line here and make our match picks. Who's going home with the North Star Shield tonight, Oliver Platt?
I really have this one as a coin flip, but I'll give it to Atletico Ottawa, with the absence of Becker, I think, being the deciding factor.
Jordan Wilson, you're up.
Forge FC, the Dynasty. 3 out of 4, I believe it. I'm calling it.
Go.
I think this game's going to pens. And for the first time, what we haven't experienced yet in the Canadian Premier League, a team lift the North Star Shield at home.
That would be nice
Could
to see.
be a first
nice.
if Oliver Platt's prediction comes true. That's it for us. We'll be back at halftime. Enjoy this, Canada. It's Atletico Ottawa and Forge FC.
A new era for Canadian soccer begins today. Experience the emotion of every match. Watch all the highlights, the breaking news, the best debates, and analysis. And all the information about the Canadian stars playing abroad. Get access to the best of Canadian soccer from any device. Join the new dawn of an unstoppable game. See the rise on onesoccer.ca.
Canada's soccer heartbeat is growing faster as FIFA World Cup Qatar rapidly approaches.
Are you kidding me?
Hope for Canada's men's national team has captured our imagination. And the conversation is turning to the biggest stage. Momentum for the world's most prestigious tournament is crucial, and Canada has one more friendly to prepare. One final test. It's Canada versus Japan, November 17th. One Soccer.
The warmest of good evenings and a massive welcome to one and all. This is TD Place Stadium from our nation's capital in Ottawa, Ontario. This is the Canadian Premier League final. Two incredible stories forged the visitors in their fourth consecutive championship appearance. They've been here before. They have done that, but it was last year at home that they had their streak of North Star Shield championships snapped on a very cold night in December. On the other side, as they make their way through the tunnel, Atletico Ottawa. Months ago, you would never have believed that the team who finished dead last in the season last year, almost no pulse, would be here, but they have invigorated an entire community. And this, ladies and gentlemen, not only a festival of football, but a seminal moment for the Canadian Premier League and the Canadian soccer community. An all-Ontario battle where we have a third champion in Forge or a first ever title for Atletico Ottawa. We will throw it down now pitch side and join the public address announcer Mike Sutherland and be back with team news and starting 11s.
Veuillez maintenant vous lever pour l'interprétation de notre hymne national. Please rise and sing along with Anya Haynar and violinist Jos Vanley as they perform the Canadian National Anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command, qu'à t'embrasser, porter l'épée. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for
There have been some big nights in the short history of Atletico Ottawa. Canadian Championship right here. Last Sunday's semi-final to clinch this ticket, but nothing with the gravity of this moment. Close to a record-breaking crowd in CPL history. Certainly one for those with paid tickets. We're expecting around 15,000 football supporters this evening. Joining us for the coin toss this evening is Volkswagen Canada's Manager of Brand Marketing, Jennifer Klapadlo. She stands to flip the coin beside Carl Howarth and Daniel Crutzen. Yes, no Kyle Becker. More on that momentarily. The referee is Philip Duyich out of Toronto, Ontario, his first CPL finals appointment. Let's meet the teams. We will begin with Atletico Ottawa as Carlos Gonzalez makes just 2 changes to his starting 11 in a 4-1-4-1. The anchor at the back, Diego Espejo. He is back after a suspension last week. Malcolm Shaw, who scored the goal to put the icing on the cake, starts up top in the 4-1-4-1 for Atleti. Just 1 change for Bobby Smirniotis' side from that incredible match between Cavalry, and that is due to necessity. Kyle Becker suspended for 2 games after a straight red. Noah Jensen draws into his place in midfield from a healthy scratch last week to the most important match of his footballing career. What a night it will be for Forge's number 22. On both sides of the park, we have some goalkeepers who know a thing or two about stopping this game ball. That is presented, of course, by Tiny Football Car. He has made his trek from coast to coast, stopping by, and of course, it is only fitting that he is here for the 2022 CPL final. Think about Tristan Henry, you think about Nathan Ingham, the latter nominated for the Golden Glove. Tristan Henry, who has been one of the best goalkeepers since this league was founded, and he's playing with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, thinking that he should have got some love in the nominations category. And trust me, Forge loves a little extra reason to believe that they are the underdogs. Take these pictures in as the smoke still fills the air in Lansdowne Park, just steps away from where the Rideau Canal meanders its way through the National Capital Region, and a moment to bring the communities together. You think about that and what this will mean. The benches for both sides: Dominic Samuel, Taryn Campbell, Kwesi Poku, Garvin Mishema Tusila, Jordan Hamilton, and Maleko Walabi Bellawoo for Forge.